Scorpio, you feel that strange sensation of being watched by something you can't see. It's not paranoia, it's real. Something is moving in the shadows of your life, something that knows every secret you hide, every truth you bury, every part of yourself you swore no one would ever see. This Halloween isn't just a date on the calendar for you, it's a mirror being held up to you, reflecting your greatest terror, the fear of being fully known. You've spent your whole life building layer upon layer of protection, creating emotional labyrinths where no one can reach the center where the real you exists. But something is coming, something that will remove every mask, penetrate every defense, expose every vulnerability you hide with such determination. Scorpio's hidden nightmare isn't about external monsters, about dangers from the outside. It's about the visceral terror of someone, or some situation, forcing you to reveal yourself completely. The thought that someone might see through all your protective strategies and see how much you feel, how much you need, how much you fear. You've built a reputation for strength, mystery, absolute control over your emotions. But behind all that, there's a you who feels so intensely that it physically hurts. And that you, the real you, the vulnerable one, the one that bleeds when cut, is exactly the one you fear most being discovered. This Halloween, while other signs fear ghosts and spirits, you're facing something far more terrifying. The possibility of someone breaking through all your defenses and seeing you as you truly are, without filters, without masks, without the carefully constructed layers that keep everyone at a safe distance. And what scares you most isn't just being seen, it's what might happen afterward. If someone truly knows you and decides you're not enough, if they discover the depth of your emotions and run away, if they realize how much you need love and use that against you. Have you ever had that nightmare? The one where you're completely exposed in public, naked not only physically but emotionally? Where every person can see your thoughts, feel your insecurities, know your deepest fears? For you, Scorpio, this isn't just an occasional nightmare. It's a constant terror that lives quietly in the depths of your consciousness, influencing every decision about how much to reveal, how much to trust, how much to allow someone to get close. You learned early in life that vulnerability is dangerous. Perhaps someone used your feelings against you when you were young and didn't yet know how to protect yourself. Perhaps you opened yourself completely to someone, and that person shattered you in ways that still hurt when you allow the memory to surface. Whatever the specific event, the result was the same. You decided you would never again be so vulnerable, never again let anyone see you completely, never again give anyone the power to hurt you so deeply. And since then, you've lived behind dark glass. You observe everything, study everyone, understand the motivations and fears of those around you with almost supernatural precision. But no one can do the same to you. You control exactly how much of your truth is revealed in each situation. You moderate your emotions, measure your words, calculate every move to ensure that no one ever gets too close to your true core. But the problem with living like this is that loneliness eventually becomes unbearable. And this Halloween is bringing to light a truth you've been trying to ignore. You're tired of hiding. A part of you, perhaps the truest part, is desperate to be known, to be seen, to be loved, not despite your depths, but because of them. You want to stop pretending you're invincible and finally admit that sometimes you feel broken. You want to stop controlling everything and allow someone to surprise you, to know you, to accept you completely. For Scorpios born between October 23rd and November 2nd, the nightmare manifests as a fear of losing control in intimate situations. The terror that if you let your guard down in front of someone, you will completely fall apart. For those born between November 3 and 12, the horror is about being judged and found flawed, discovering that when people truly know you, you are not as special or interesting as you seemed behind the layers of mystery. And for Scorpios, born between November 13th and 21, the nightmare is about abandonment, showing everything of yourself and then being left, proving that your worst fears about not being worthy of love were true all along. This Halloween is acting as a catalyst, bringing that hidden fear to the surface. You've been feeling increasing pressure to open up more, to allow someone to get closer, to lower defenses you've maintained for years, and every fiber of your being is screaming, danger, because your protection system was specifically designed to prevent exactly that. Are you having trouble sleeping? Intense dreams where you're being chased, hunted, cornered in dead ends? These aren't just random nightmares. They're manifestations of the inner conflict you're experiencing, the battle between the part that wants to remain safe behind its defenses and the part that's desperate to finally be known and loved in its entirety. Scorpio, I know that as you listen to me, you're feeling a tightness in your chest. You're remembering moments when you almost allowed yourself to be completely seen, but backed away at the last second. You're thinking about someone specific in your life right now who is asking for more closeness, more truth, more of you, and you're terrified to give it because you know that once you start peeling back the layers, you might not be able to stop until you're completely exposed. And perhaps for the first time, someone is telling you that this fear makes perfect sense, that you're not a coward for being afraid of vulnerability, that protecting your heart isn't weakness, it's been your way of surviving, but also that perhaps the time has come to choose to live instead of just surviving. I need you to be brave right now and acknowledge that fear. Leave a comment saying, I'm also afraid of being completely seen. This isn't just a comment, it's an act of bravery. It's you starting to peel back the first layer, even if it's anonymously, even if it's just with strangers online. It's you acknowledging that this fear exists and that you're ready to start confronting it. And when you write this, you're giving permission for other Scorpios to do the same, creating a space where it's finally safe to admit that we're not as invincible as we pretend to be. The hidden nightmare you carry isn't just about being seen. It's about what you believe will happen when you are seen. You have an internal narrative that says if people knew the real you, the one who feels so intensely, the one who needs so desperately, the one who fears so deeply, they wouldn't stay. That your intensity is too much, that your emotions are too heavy, that your needs are too excessive. But here's the truth you need to hear. This narrative is a lie your protection system created to keep you safe. Yes, you feel intensely. Yes, when you love with a depth that can be frightening. Yes, your emotions aren't light or superficial, but that's not a flaw. It's your essence. It's what makes you capable of connections that transcend the superficial, that touch souls, that transform people. The problem was never its intensity. The problem was always that you've been trying to hide it. And when you hide who you really are, you attract people who can't handle your truth because they never knew it existed. You create relationships based on a controlled and measured version of yourself. And then you're surprised when those people can't handle your emotional depths. This Halloween is offering you an opportunity to break that cycle, to stop attracting people based on who you pretend to be and start attracting people who want exactly who you are. But to do that, you need to do the most terrifying thing possible. You need to show yourself. Not all at once, not to everyone, but start consciously lowering your defenses instead of keeping everything locked up until you can't take it anymore and explode. Have you noticed the pattern? How do you keep people at a distance for months or years, building ever higher walls, until the loneliness becomes so unbearable that you open up explosively and chaotically, and then you regret it, feel too exposed, and lock everything away again? It's exhausting to live like that. And more importantly, it's not working. You're not less lonely, you're not safer, you're just more isolated. The nightmare you fear, being completely known and then abandoned, is no more frightening than the reality you're living. Never being truly known and remaining eternally alone, even when surrounded by people. At least if you show yourself and are rejected, you'll know you were rejected for who you really are, not for an edited version. And then you can find people who truly want you. Halloween is traditionally the time when the veil between worlds thins, when hidden truths come to the surface, when what was concealed is revealed. For you, Scorpio, this Halloween is about the veil between who you show yourself to be and who you truly are, and about allowing that veil to become thinner, more transparent, more permeable. What you'll discover when you finally let someone see you completely might surprise you. You might discover that your intensity doesn't scare everyone. In fact, some people were waiting for exactly that, for someone who feels with the same depth. You might discover that your emotional needs aren't excessive. They're normal for someone who loves as completely as you do. You might discover that you are far more worthy of love than you ever believed. But you also need to be prepared for another possibility. Some people really won't be able to handle your truth. And when that happens, it will hurt. It will confirm some of your fears. It will make you want to lock yourself away again. But here's what's different now. You'll know that those people simply weren't your people. That they weren't strong enough, deep enough, brave enough to dive into the abyss with you. And that's valuable information. It's much better to discover this early than to waste years in relationships with people who could never truly know or love you completely because you never allowed yourself to be fully known. It's better to be abandoned by your truth than to be held by your lie. Scorpio, your gift is the ability to transform. You can die and be reborn in ways that other signs can't even imagine. You've been through this before, through symbolic deaths, through endings that seemed impossible to survive. And you always rise again, always emerge stronger, always find a way to rebuild yourself from the ashes. This Halloween is calling you to yet another death and rebirth. But this time, what needs to die isn't a person, a situation, or an external version of yourself. It's fear. It's the belief that you need to hide to be loved. It's the idea that vulnerability is weakness instead of courage. It's the overprotection that has kept you so safe that you've forgotten what it truly feels like to live. The transition will be uncomfortable. Vulnerability always is. Starting to remove layers you've worn for years will make you feel exposed, naked, dangerously unprotected. There will be moments when you'll want to give up, retreat behind your walls, lock everything up again. But if you endure the discomfort, if you overcome the fear of what lies on the other side, you will discover something that will change everything: freedom. Freedom from having to control every word, every expression, every emotion. Freedom to let people see you when you're sad, fragile, insecure. Freedom to ask for what you need instead of waiting for people to guess. Freedom to love openly instead of loving in secret. Always measuring, always protecting yourself, always ready to say no if necessary. The nightmare you've been carrying of being seen and rejected has prevented you from experiencing something far more powerful: being seen and accepted, being known and loved, being completely yourself, and discovering that this is not only enough, it's exactly what someone was looking for. This Halloween, while others wear masks, you are invited to take yours off. Not all at once, not for everyone, but start with one person at a time, one truth at a time, one vulnerability at a time, one piece of your heart at a time. And when you do that, when you take that first terrifying step of showing yourself, you'll discover something no nightmare could teach you: that you are stronger than your fears, that your vulnerability doesn't destroy you, it liberates you, that being seen doesn't weaken you, it completes you. The hidden nightmare only has power as long as it remains hidden. When you bring the fear into the light, when you confront what terrifies you, when you do exactly what you believed you couldn't do, the nightmare loses its power. It transforms. It becomes just another shadow you've crossed on your way to becoming more whole. Scorpio, you have always been a master of transformation, but until now, you have transformed everything around you: situations, relationships, environments. This Halloween invites you to the ultimate transformation, transforming how you relate to your own vulnerability, transforming fear into courage, transforming protection into openness, transforming nightmare into possibility. And on the other side of this transformation, there's a version of you that you don't yet know, a version that no longer needs to carry the weight of all those layers of protection. A version that can breathe freely because it's no longer spending all its energy hiding who it really is. A version that finally experiences the kind of love and connection you always wanted, but never allowed yourself to because you were too busy protecting yourself. The nightmare is ending, Scorpio. Not because it has disappeared, but because you are ready to wake up from it. To see that the true horror was not being seen. It was living an entire life never truly being known. And that you no longer need to do. If this message touched you deeply, if you recognized your own fear in these words, share it in the comments. You don't need to reveal details, just acknowledge that you feel this and are ready to begin confronting it. Your courage inspires others to find theirs. Subscribe to the channel because confronting deep fears is a process that deserves ongoing support. You'll need reminders that you're on the right track, guidance for when you want to give up, and encouragement to keep opening up even when it scares you. Activate notifications to receive content that will strengthen you in this transformation. This Halloween marks the end of your hidden nightmare. You are waking up. And on the other side of this awakening, there is a life where you are finally free to be completely, intensely, magnificently yourself.